We're going to create a GRC document in, let's give ourselves 10 minutes. All right, so somebody asked me to do a vulnerability management process document. First of all, these documents there's so many templates out there online. There's so many sample documents you can grab. And that's exactly what we're going to do before we even start Chatgpt. But another thing I should tell you is that, so what I've noticed about Chatgpt is that it's really good at creating stuff, but you still need a subject matter expert to know if it's wrong, because sometimes it'll pull from different elements that are not exactly correct, or they're too generic to actually fit into your environment. But let's get started. So let me show you what I've got going on. Here's how I would do it if I was using Chatgpt. Let's get the screen recorded here, right there. All right. So let's start off by getting to know what we're trying to do here. So what I've done is, let's define what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a vulnerability management program that is based on NIST 800. So they've got other ones. We could have done ISO 27001. We could have done it for a hospital. We could have done it for all these different things, but we're doing it specifically for NIST 800. So that means we need to know NIST 800. Now, NIST 800, I just happen to know that they have one, like a breakdown of how you do this in 800-40. Now, here it is right here, creating a patch and vulnerability management program. We're going to use this as a guidance on what is needed for our actual document. So this is where we can always go back and refer to, because we already know Chatgpt and all these other ones, they just grab from all these generic sources online and put some stuff in there. And right now we're just trying to fill it out to where we have something like, we have a template that we can build on to make it more specific going forward. So here is where we have it'll tell us what sections we need. For example, recommended process, creating a system inventory is important, monitoring for vulnerability and remediation threats, prioritizing the vulnerability remediation. These are all things that should be a part of our vulnerability management plan. But here's another thing that you should do. Go online and actually look for a sample document and build from there, number one. So great places you can get these from, like a template, government style templates, because that's what we're doing. NIST 800s for the federal government. This is FedRAMP templates and documents. So if you go to this site right here, it's fedramp.gov. Go here and then download some templates. They'll give you an idea of what the template should look like. And you can download anything from .doc to .xls to any kind of PDFs. Anything that you need is here, but they don't specifically have vulnerability management. They do have vulnerability scanning documents that we can pull from. Let me show you here. Vulnerability scanning documents. Okay, here we go. Scanning requirements, and it's in a PDF. So that this could be something that we could pull from if we needed to have some sort of scanning guidance from the federal government that we could use as a part of our documentation. And notice how they have a breakdown on all federal documents. They have a purpose, they have a background, and normally have a scope and stuff, but this doesn't have it here. But let's get started here. So we've got a little guidance here. What I've done is gone on the internet and found a sample document that we can use. Here's one right here. We're going to take this, copy it, and all of this is pretty generic. Like, it has a policy statement, it has procedures, it has patch management, just very basic. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this, and we're going to put it into a Word document. Okay, here we go. We're just going to go ahead and copy paste it all in this Word document. There it is. Now we have something we can kind of work with. Now, another thing to keep in mind is normally organizations have their own layout. They have their own template, their own layout, their own, like, what they want to do with their documents. So just keep that in mind. You're not going to have to normally just go on a white page and just drop some stuff in there and do it. But every now and then it does happen from time. It has happened to me before. Sometimes you do have to do this. So date, we can come back to that. Company, we can fill this out later. Policy, I'm missing a couple things like the scope and all that kind of stuff that we could put in later. Now that we have the bare bones, the actual skeletal structure to work with, now what we're going to do is go to Chatgpt and see if this can help us out. All right, we're going to, and you could see that I already started on this, but let's see if it could do a little bit more for us. I want to see if it can create an actual Word document. I've never done this before, but let me just see if it'll do it. So what we want to do is say, create a Word document, be specific, docx, vulnerability management policy. Let's see what it does. Let's see if it'll actually create the actual Word document. Let's see. I'm sorry, I am an IA text model. I don't have the capability of creating files. And that's why we created our own. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab some of this text here. This will help us out. So we can take, we already have an introduction and stuff. We'll just take all of this. So what we did, actually, I'll just start over. If you didn't see the last video, I'll just put in all I did was say this. I said, write a generic vulnerability management policy for a U.S. federal organization. Let me see if I can add a little bit more stuff to this. I'll get rid of generic. Write a vulnerability management policy template. See if it'll do a template for a government, a U.S. government. Oh, you know what? We're going to put more detail. We'll put for a NIST 800, NIST 800-37 risk management framework. It should know what that is. You'll grab it off the internet. So let's see. Here is a sample vulnerability management process for NIST 837. It has an introduction. Okay, it looks like it's going the same. Yep. All right, this is really good. Purpose of the policy is to ensure the integrity in the scope. This is really impressive. This can actually replace what I've already done, because this has the scope, the definitions, all that kind of stuff that you need in the document, which that one that I downloaded didn't have any of this stuff. So this is how easy it is to create a document. Now, this is just a skeletal structure. A lot of times, like I said, the organization will have its own template. So you got to figure out how to put this into their template. You'd have to figure out what specific things in their organization, like what's their remediation scanning plan? How are they in accordance with the actual federal government? Do they have any special circumstances that they need to remediate things faster? You'd have to put all that stuff in there, but you got something like 60% of the generic stuff that you need to start, all coming from Chatgpt. So that's pretty awesome. And I just did this, and hell, it took me 5-10 minutes just to explain this stuff, but it took me 1 minute to do this. So this is how easy it is. Now, there's more work to do. Like I said, we have to match this with the organization we're in, but this is a great start. Let's actually just grab all of this stuff. All right, let's do this. Just go to vulnerability management policy. What can we keep? We'll keep the top stuff, procedures, logging alert. I don't like any of this stuff here. I guess this. Oh, what the hell is this? Okay, there we go. Okay, so check that out. So we can make this into a headline. First of all, we want the format to match the rest of this. So let's just change the whole format of this thing. Format painter. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Hopefully that'll work. No, it didn't work. Okay. I don't know what is going on with this border. I want to get rid of it. Normal. There we go. All right. We're going to go like this. Get everything here, go normal. And then we just need to restructure this thing. This part would be a header of 1. Let's just get rid of all this other stuff here. Let's get rid of all this. Boom. I did like this piece right here. This is normally what you have on the top. So let's keep this. Right now, all we're trying to do is create a template, like just the basic stuff that we need. And then we come back and fill in all the other stuff. All right, so now it has the date, has the policy, introducing this policy guideline. We'd probably want to put this part up top. We probably want to take this. I'll probably take this part. You see how I'm just, this is like a Frankenstein document. Now I'm putting together just to get some idea, and then I could work on the flow a little bit better a little bit later. And then check this out. So another thing I can do is this. I can just copy this, copy here, and then I can take this like this, I need scope, right? So I just took procedures that has the proper format that I want, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put scope right here. Because normally you have policy, you have scope, and then it's got the structure right. It just missed a couple things. Definition, I'll just take this, copy the scope text here and replace it with this. There's the scope. I would do the same thing with the definition. I'll take the format of scope, and I think the format, it should be header 2, but we'll come back to that. So this is going to be definition, and I could just change that numbering. I can always come back and fix the numbering and stuff like that. Scope, we're going to change this to definition. Definition. See how it's all caps there? I don't know if we would go with all caps, but we'll just, for now, we'll just keep it consistent. All caps on definition. And then there's policy requirements that goes here. And so we would do the same thing throughout this document to get some idea of, but you can see how this would help you to create a document. It's not going to create it for you. It doesn't put it in the proper format, right? Not yet. Maybe one day they'll be able to do that. But you create the actual format, which is .doc, or if it's an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, you would create the structure, get that in there. Then you would just take the content that you got from Chatgpt and post that in there, and then put it in the proper format, and then come back later once the format and the flow is good on the actual structure of the format. You got your scope, you got your purpose, you got all that kind of stuff, policy statement or whatever you want to put in there. Then you put the content in for the actual company, the actual company's remediation plans, their scanning schedule, their all that kind of stuff. And then if you needed additional help and guidance, you would go to 800-40 to figure out what actually is supposed to be in a NIST 800 policy like this. So you go here and figure out like what other things would we need to put in there to do this. It doesn't do it for, as you can see, it doesn't replace my job. It doesn't replace your job as a GRC person or as an IT person. It just doesn't do everything that you would need in an organization. So that's just a brief one. I'll do more of these to show you how you can actually use Chatgpt to do your work more effectively, whether it's using it on Splunk or creating applications or creating documentation for cybersecurity. But it's actually a super useful tool. I'm really excited to use it more. It's a fun tool to play with, but I'll see you guys on the next one.